Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited because for the first time in so long, I'm also filming the podcast. And it's a bit different because the reason I haven't been filming is because I had to shuffle some things around in my home. Life changed, got disrupted, and I stopped using my computer so much and I lost this setup that I had and the background that I had. And I've been kind of waiting until I can sort out that issue. But I decided, you know what, instead of doing that, instead of waiting until I can set up a whole computer, till I can use my fancy Logitech 4K, what's it called? I haven't used it in so long, webcam, and my fancy Rode microphone. I haven't even been using that for the podcast. I've just been using my phone because when I got back into the podcast this year, I thought, you know what? I should just record it with my phone and that will be fine. So I've decided, video is the same thing. Until I get that fancy setup set up, who cares? Honestly, I think the internet is far too curated and I really believe in just showing up imperfectly, especially for my neurodiverse and ADHD folks, because we can tend towards perfectionism and we really need to see that things actually don't need to be perfect. Good enough is good enough. And it's about the content and what you're delivering. What I want to deliver is video. I want to connect with you one-on-one with a little bit more visuals, because then you can see me, you can get to know me. And with the podcast, the point is the audio. As long as the quality is good enough, as long as it's not hurting anyone's ears, then it's fine. So if you're in a situation where you want to do something and achieve something, and you're putting up walls and boundaries between yourself and the thing, I really encourage you to look at how you can just get started and how you can maybe move past some of those barriers. Whew, okay, this is a little bit nerve-wracking to be on camera, and I'm doing it first thing in the morning. I just put on my camera. I decided to just get it done so then I can spend the rest of the day with my kids, and I'm in my pajamas because, again, it doesn't need to be perfect. I did change my top. I'm wearing my favorite new top. It's a Monet top with Monet artworks on it, which is really cool. I'm really loving that. And it's a rainy day outside, which is interesting. It's been nice and sunny lately. I kind of assumed it would be sunny again and give me some nice lighting, but that's okay. Welcome to my little setup. Okay, the little big thing this week. Oh my gosh, my daughter, who I've struggled to get to sleep for over a decade, she's growing out of this bedtime routine and she's needing me less and less, which is something I've wanted for so long, but it's now more often than not that she will just take a cuddle and want me to turn out the light and actually shut the door now because she wants it to be dark. Instead of like a perfect amount of lighting and feeling comfortable and having heaps of cuddles, she's going to sleep mostly by herself. And now I'm kind of feeling like the tables are turning a little bit and I'm the one who's going to be asking her, look, can I lie down and have cuddles with you? Especially because she likes it dark now, which means I can't, I'm like an inconvenience to her because I want to lie and read with her now for a while like we used to. But this is very new territory and I'm going to enjoy it as much as possible. That's a little thing, but it is a massive, massive thing. It's going to change things so much, and my little girl is growing up. So I'm really wanting to embrace it and embrace what I have left with her being my kid. In so many ways, she's growing up and she's going to be bigger than me, I think. I think she's going to be taller than me, which is something to get used to. It's something that I hadn't really thought about. And it's all very, very new. So that's the little big thing. And now on my mind, let me introduce you to my year of yay. So those of you who've been listening for a while, you know my story. I've been working on my own personal development and figuring out how I tick, learning about my neurodiversity and experimenting with what I need, experimenting with strategies, learning about psychology, neuroscience, personal development, and entrepreneurship. But that's kind of an aside, but it all ties in because it's about how we work and about habits and about psychology. I've been learning about all that stuff for the last 18 years, which is crazy because that's a whole adult person length of time, and I'm feeling quite weird about getting old enough to say that I've done something for a whole person length of time. But I was 14 years old at the time, just for you to, if you want to do the maths and figure out how old I am. Because the other thing is, I look quite young and I teach about parenting ADHD. So I feel like maybe I don't look like an authority on it, but I have been doing it for over a decade and I am old enough to have experience in this. But I've actually, like I just said, been actively studying this for the last 18 years. This has been like my life's work, has been figuring out neurodiversity and how it ticks and how to make it work in a way that actually approaches it in this whole different way, rather than I see everyone else just teaching surface level strategies, and I just rejected all of that and said, no, there must be a key to this. And I spent those 18 years figuring out all these different lessons, all the different strategies that work and what doesn't work, and kind of filtering out the fluff to find the common thing. And what I've concluded over the past year is that, well, first of all, what I concluded over the past couple of years is that actually I'm not working on 100 different areas of my life. I'm not trying to get every little thing together. Maybe I am, but they all come under 5 pillars. There are just 5 pillars of well-being for neurodiverse folks and ADHD folks. I know that's the same thing. I don't know why I just said both those terms. There are 5 pillars, which means that instead of juggling all these balls, instead of trying to get everything together and then life just falls apart, you can focus on these 5 pillars. And I had a different episode about that, so you can go back and learn a bit more about them. But in a nutshell, they are mind, emotions, body, environment, and your soul, which is like your greater fulfillment and purpose. And when we have pillars, instead of juggling balls in life, these pillars are what are holding us up. And if one of the pillars starts to crumble a little bit, and you can identify that and identify what you need, you can renovate it and build it back up. And in the meantime, you have these other pillars holding you up so it doesn't crumble quite so much. Not everything falls apart. And this is a system that I've been using for the last couple of years. And this past year, it's all come together. And finally, I'm functioning steadily. I feel like I have brought it all together and almost mastered it in a way, enough that I now can really focus on this next level of my life. I can really focus on the like higher purpose goals I want to do, but also just higher joys, like spending more time with my kids and not burning out, and exercising often, which is kind of a part of the 5 pillars, but it feels so good to be able to do things without burning out. And at the core of all of those 5 things is energy. And that's why my podcast used to be called Become an Energy Empress. But then I wanted it to be a little bit more tangible because I wanted to reach more people and show that it's not a hippie woo-woo thing. Everything is energy. Your thoughts are energy. Your emotions are energy. Your body obviously has energy, uses energy. And then you're affected by the energy of the environment as well. Like when you go into social settings, you might feel drained. That is your energy. And when we talk about energy, we can kind of switch that and say that at the core of all these pillars and at the core of functioning as a neurodiverse person is regulation. Now, nervous system regulation is talked about a lot, and it kind of sounds a bit heavy and boring and serious and like you need to do a lot of breathing. But with my approach, actually what you're doing is just checking in with yourself daily and checking where you're at and doing things that protect your regulation. It's harder to come back from a triggered nervous system than it is to create a life that supports your regulation. So you can wake up in the morning and do the things that keep you regulated throughout the day. Know what things to avoid in the environment. If you're going into a social setting, you want to try not to get triggered in the first place. Maybe you need headphones, maybe you need to organized to meet people outside instead of a busy indoor environment. And the more you learn about yourself, the more you can protect and foster this regulation. The thing about regulation is it's linked into your prefrontal cortex. Like, I know we've got a nervous system, but I want to talk about the prefrontal cortex because that's where executive functioning happens. When you are stressed, that prefrontal cortex goes offline, which means you cannot function. But when you aren't stressed, when you are calm, it can stay online, which means you function better. Therefore, when you feel better, you function better. And what I see is everyone who has ADHD, who teaches ADHD, are scrambling to find all these strategies, to fix all these things. When if we can ignore all that chaos, all of that fuss, all of those surface level band-aid solutions and bring it back to the core, we can say, well, how will that affect my regulation or protect my regulation? How would this strategy do it? How would that take a load off my plate? And instead of adding more hard work strategies, look for the things that actually help reclaim your mental, emotional, physical, and practical bandwidth so that you have energy to function, so that you have energy to do the things that need to get done, so that you have energy to enjoy your life. So, what I see, the irony that I see is that people are trying to take on board all these strategies, and that's stressing them out, which reduces their functioning, and then they have less capacity to actually follow through with the strategy or to actually do the task at hand. When you take that load off, when you give yourself permission to just get rid of all those strategies, accept yourself as you are, let yourself be ADHD and all the things that come with it, you take that load off and you allow yourself, you allow your brain, your emotions, your body to calm down, to regulate and to function better. And again, some strategies can help you do that regulation, but I believe that if you protect it in the first place, then you're going to have more regulation, you'll have more capacity. It's like a cup of water. That's your energy. And if you have to use it on these strategies, you want to be making sure that those strategies are filling your cup back up, and you don't want to be leaking that water in other places. If your cup of water has holes in it, why are we trying to use it on strategies? We want to seal up those holes and protect it in the first place. So that's my approach. That's how I want to revolutionize the approach to ADHD, because what I see is that it's just not working for people and we need a different approach. So that's my little introduction. And my point is that I have got to a point where I feel like I've figured it out enough and I've created this foundation. Those 5 pillars are designed to create a foundation so that life can stay steady. Because when life is like a roller coaster, going up and down all the time, then it's really hard to get those bigger goals, whether they be connect with your children or have goals like exercising regularly, like I said, or eating healthily, or creating more, or starting a business, or socializing, or writing a book, or running a marathon, whatever it might be. When you feel up, you will have energy and you will feel like you can do the thing, and then you'll go down again and then you won't be able to do it and you'll get stuck, and it will take a while for you to get back to a point where you feel like life's getting back together again, you're having energy again, you have mental energy, you're in the right emotional space and the right headspace, and then you can work on the thing again, but then life might fall apart again. So I really think this roller coaster that a lot of ADHDers are on just doesn't work, but this 5-pillar system gives you that foundation. So that's where I feel now. I feel like instead of on this roller coaster, or instead of juggling all the balls and then I drop one and then I have to start again, or instead of life feels like it falls apart and you pull it back together, falls apart and you pull it back together, instead of any of those cycles, I feel like now I'm on this steady foundation, and anytime one of those pillars needs work, I just address it straight away and I can stay steady in the process. And what a beautiful gift. Now that I have that foundation, I can work on my bigger goals. And that's where the year of yay comes in. Now, this is something that I was going to do in 2020. I planned it at the end of 2019, and we all know how 2020 went. It went a little bit off the rails, and I didn't end up following through for the entire year. But now that I have this foundation, now that life is steady, I am ready to do a beautiful year of yay and go to the next level of functioning and feeling good. Because just because we're neurodiverse, just because we're ADHD, I don't think we should have to spend our lives focusing on problems, feeling like we need to fix things, feeling like we need to fix ourselves, feeling like it's a struggle, feeling like we've got potential locked inside, but we just can't get there. Or maybe sometimes we can when we're up high on that roller coaster, but not when we're down in the lows. And I don't think we should have to do all this stopping and starting, or squirreling around. I found that consistency the ADHD way means having a direction that you are going in, and if you need to pause, you pause rather than burning it all down or throwing it all away. You take a break. If you need distraction, you put hobbies on the side, but you continue going in this one direction. And my point at the end of that sentence is that that you have one and only life. This is your one life, and I don't believe that it should be spent in struggle. I believe ADHDers have so much inside, so many beautiful gifts. Like, we are so creative. We think outside the square. I would think that most of you listening or watching would have some kind of goal in mind when I talk about this. Maybe it's creative. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe it's a business. Maybe it's turn a hobby into a more regular passion. Whatever it is, it might be a business. It might be a business or write a book, because that's really common. And most entrepreneurs are ADHD. We can do amazing things in life. Or it could just be having more joy in your life. The year of yay is about taking it to the next level, not just functioning, not just keeping everything together, but bringing in that joy and zest for life. Because like I said, it's your one and only life. So actually consciously going, well, how do I want to live this? What is my story? What is the way that I'm going to feel deeply fulfilled in this life? So the year of yay, it's not just about those bigger goals. I want to be working on my bigger goals as well, but the year of yay is about, I went to fix my hair and it went weird. I need to bring a fidget maybe. The year of yay is about bringing a spark into every area of life. I have a guiding question for the year, and a guiding question is something you can ask yourself and bring it into your daily life that will, guide you towards the way you want to feel. And my guiding question for the year is, how can I bring more joy, fun, and play to this? And by this, that could mean anything. That could mean podcasting. That could mean doing things in my business. That could mean exercising. That could mean waking up in the morning. It could mean brushing teeth, spending time with my kids, homeschooling my kids, putting shoes on in the morning. It can apply to literally each activity. How can I make this feel light and fun and joyful? And so the aim of it is that by the end of 2026, that's how I want to feel. I want to feel lighter and more playful. I want to be more warm and fun to be around rather than serious. And I know, sometimes I can show up different ways here, but I am a human with a whole range of emotions in day-to-day life. And, I'm probably pretty boring for my kids in the morning when I'm making breakfast. And it's about bringing this pep into things. And it's not about piling more things on. With a lot of these one-year projects, you see that people are really focusing on adding a lot of new adventures to their life, or maybe they uproot their life and go and do Eat, Pray, Love or something like that. But what I want is not to add more to my plate. I want to create this gentle shift in my life towards more lightness, more fun, more joy, and more play that can then be sustainable. So maybe we'll go on like adventures here and there. Maybe I will do more spontaneous, like, hey, let's do this fun thing right now. But I also want it to be permeating every little area of my life just so I can be a more playful person and orient myself towards those feelings. One thing I've learned in life is that you can do an action with a different kind of energy. It's not about the action, it's about the energy you bring to it. When you're rushing out the house, this is the main example that I've been applying to myself in my life, is if you are late for something, you could be rushing out the door, you could be super stressed, you could be yelling at your kids, you could be berating yourself, you could be, you know, very dysregulated, trying to figure out everything you need. Or you could realize that hurrying doesn't actually make you go faster, it makes you feel more chaotic and distracted. And you can accept that you're running a little bit late, you're going to be however many minutes late, but take your time to slow down, take a breath, stay regulated, and get out the door without stressing everyone out, without stressing yourself out, and without putting that internal pressure on. The other example I have is, imagine two people in a traffic jam. One person could be so angry, so mad, and again doing this internal stress, like I really just want to get out of there. While another person could be listening to their favorite song, or enjoying the extra time to listen to their podcast, or looking out the window and enjoying the birds and the sunshine, or the pouring rain and the cozy feeling inside. We can come to actions with different energies. Same thing with housework. We could be resentful and grumpy, or we can be grateful that we have a house. We could be grateful that, you know, you have a working vacuum, because you don't always have a working vacuum, especially if you're ADHD. Sometimes it breaks and then you take a little while to replace it. Or whatever it might be, like you washing the dishes because you had food and everyone got fed. You are washing clothes because you have clothes, and aren't we lucky to have clothes and not be, you know, cavemen living in caves or people living in less well-off countries. So that's what this year of Yay is about, is training myself to, hey, let's have this lighter energy towards as many things as possible. The other thing I want is to connect with my kids more and have more fun with them. And that can be tricky with ADHD, because your brain doesn't necessarily want to sit down and focus. It doesn't necessarily want to listen. It's not necessarily interested in things that it's not interested in. But I have hacks for that. I have lots of little hacks that I've learned, and now's the time for me to implement, like really implement, like spend this year. This is my project of the year. Just like for the last 18 years, I've been focusing on my functioning. Now it's this next level, so I can really implement these things to spend more time with my kids. And a couple of things I'm doing at the moment is, when I see them doing an activity, I sit down with them and I engage in it. Even if it's just for 5 minutes. And that's the thing with ADHD, you don't want to commit to this huge amount of time, or you might not enjoy play, but you can go and sit down with your kids for 5 minutes and ask them a couple questions, and that's so valuable. That's a way to connect with them and fill their cup and fill your cup and feel like you are more than just housemates, or you are more than just the person who takes care of them. So that's something I really want for this year as well. And I want to test my principle that is based on the fact that children are mirrors, and the more energy you put into something, the more enthusiasm you put in, that gets reflected back at you. If I got up right now and did some jumping jacks, I would feel more energy back. If I'm at the playground with my kids and I sit there and I'm still and I'm staring into space, I would get less energy back than if I actually engaged in play. And not saying that you have to play, and not saying that I love to play, but when you are involved in something, or if you sit down and paint with your kids, you kind of get more out of it. And like I said, it can just be with a small thing. But this principle is called inserting enthusiasm. And when you insert enthusiasm, you can actually feel more enthusiasm and you get more back. When kids are really young, you know, when you have young kids, or maybe neurodiverse kids aren't always the same, but you know, when there's a young kid and you smile at it, like, and them, sorry, or it may be a baby and you smile and they smile back, and that's kind of reflecting your energy back. When it's like a child who's, you know, think about like 3 to 5 year olds, or even 3 to 7 year olds, or even two to, like, kids under 7, okay, young kids. When you get really excited about something, they will get excited as well, even if they don't really know what it is, or if nothing's really happening. If you go, yay, this thing's happening, and they get excited too because of your enthusiasm. My kids are a little bit older, and we've been through a lot of stuff, which is, I think, affected their, like, they just can be quite serious sometimes, and they can also be really playful. But I want to test if I inject enthusiasm, if I'm warmer, if I smile more, if this will then bring them out of their shells a bit more for me, because they'll play with each other, but I want to see if they'll play with me. I want to see if I can make them laugh. You know, like with younger kids, it's really easy to make them laugh, but my kids are getting older and it's a bit different. But I would love to have that, because when people laugh with you or making people laugh, it's such a gift. And I want to have a lovely relationship with my kids. I want them to grow up into adults that like me and that I like them, and that we can continue our relationship lifelong, not just while they are kids. So I want to connect with them more and nourish that, especially as they're growing up and they'll get into their teen years. And I know that can be a tricky time, but I also know that homeschoolers, because they have more time together, sometimes can mitigate some of the distance that happens in teen years, or at least, you know, have them come back around in their 20s and hopefully think that I'm a cool mom and I'm friendly and I'm there for them and all the things. So I want to do that by connecting with them and having fun with them and being there to listen to them, so they feel like they can come and talk to me because I'll be open and listen. So that's another aim of the year in Yay. I want to feel more playful. I want to do more playful things. I want to bring this joy into life. I want to connect with my kids more. And just bring this overall sparkle onto the top of life, the cherry on top, the sprinkle on the cake. And lastly, the thing with yay or nay, when I was going to do it 6 years ago, that's crazy. 2020 was almost 6 years ago. My kids were a lot younger, and this yay or nay terminology was really helpful, because I could say to them, how do you feel about that? Do you feel yay or do you feel nay? And that's easier than asking them, would you like to do this? Which is more of an analytical sort of question. If we just say yay or nay, it's more like an internal compass and helping them tune into their inner world. And the other thing, I could ask it with behavior, like, do you think that's a yay or nay behavior? Rather than saying, oh, this is really serious and you shouldn't do this and you broke a rule and blah, blah, blah. I can just say, look, kiddo, that was probably a nay behavior, don't you think? Like, could we redirect that in future? Like, do you think your sister liked it when you pushed her? Nay. And it's a bit of a lighter way of doing that. And like I said, it's kind of like an easy compass. It simplifies and synthesizes all those words down, and is really easy for kids to interpret, especially neurodiverse kids who may have sensory processing issues, or ADHD kids who don't really want to listen or have selective hearing. Or, you know, if it's boring, why would you listen? Why would you listen to someone lecturing you? Or for kids who are PDA and don't, like, they'll clash against this big long explanation, or a claim that they did something wrong. So yay or nay can be used in that way, or even just, hey kids, do you want to do this adventure today? Yay or nay? How are you feeling today? What does your body need? And that's another thing I'm working on at the moment, is helping my kids learn regulation, not through breathing when they're stressed, but through asking themselves ahead of time, what do you need right now? What do you need? Do you need quiet time? Do you need mental stimulation? Do you need your body to move a lot? If we're coming home from being out, I know I need quiet time, but they might not need that. So I ask them, what do you think you need? If they have lots of energy, I ask them, what do you need with this? Do you need to go and direct it outside maybe? Or do you need to have a dance party? Or is this just a lot of energy and you need some focus right now? Do you need to shift task? There are different ways of checking where we're at and then seeing where we need to go to stay regulated. And this is how I've managed myself and fine-tuned my approach, like I said, over the last 18 years, is what do I need right now to stay regulated? And by checking in regularly, I can notice when it's small, when it's a small dysregulation instead of a big one. And it is the biggest gift, the biggest skill, because it then allows us to stay more steady. So that's my year of yay. It's really exciting. It's all linked into everything I've learned so far, everything I've been teaching. And it's really just adding, like I said, that spark back into life. So I'm super excited. I've already started making a few shifts. Like I said, ow, my legs are going to sleep. This was okay, I've learned maybe don't sit on the floor for 30 minutes. Sorry. Like I said, connecting with my kids more. That's something I'm focusing on lately. If they're doing something, trying to go and sit down with them. Walking in the mornings, not all the time, but some mornings going for a walk by myself, because that is so good for me. It moves my body, it gets me out, makes me feel free, makes me feel alive, gives me some space to think and be by myself. Using my phone less is a really big one. I want to move towards some digital minimalism and overcome my reliance on my phone. And there was something else. I should have brought my notes in front of me, but I've done pretty well just speaking it from the top of my head. And the other thing is noticing the choice point. I'm going to make a podcast episode. I reckon the next one will be about the choice point, because choice points, when you can recognize them, that gives you so much power. And it's almost, it is related to what I just said about noticing where you're at and what you're going to do next. That's a choice point. And whether I'm going to sit down with my kids and do something with them or continue what I'm doing, busy myself, move away from them, it's whether you're going to move away or towards something, and how not to overthink it as an ADHDer, because sometimes we recognize a choice point and we don't really know we're there, but we're in a choice point and we can freeze with indecision. We can, you're just kind of sitting there not doing anything. You're frozen. You might lie in bed in the morning and go, well, I could do this, I could do that, I could do that, which is what I did this morning. I thought, well, should I get up and go for my walk? Should I go and do craft with my kids? Should I just go and have a shower and skip my walk? Should I write my blog because I want to do that today? Or should I record my podcast? And I went around in circles a few times and I thought, you know what? This is a choice point. I need to actually make a choice rather than just lying here. And I decided I want to get this podcast done, because then I can be present with my kids for the rest of the day. And it's been lovely talking to you and being on camera for you. If you're watching, if you're not watching, you can hop on over to YouTube to Happier ADHD. If you want to watch in video format from now on, I'll try and do this all the time. There's no reason not to, unless the lighting is really terrible, maybe. We'll figure it out. So that's my year of yay. And if you want to see like little snippet updates, you should come and follow me on TikTok or Instagram, because I'm doing just little reels about things that I'm doing or thoughts that I'm having. And I also talk about the 5 pillars a bit and just little tips and tricks for living well with neurodiversity and being positive about it without positive bypassing. And I share all that wisdom and lessons that I've learned over the last 18 years, and I'm still learning, because this is my big life project, is helping everyone live well with ADHD and autism and neurodiversity, because I know we have beautiful gifts and we're beautiful people and we all deserve to be happy and feel steady and feel good within ourselves. So let's do it. Let's revolutionize ADHD and bring some friends along if you want. And otherwise, I will see you in the next episode or on the blog or on the socials. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.